This is Beautiful People Tampa Bay, sponsored by Advent Health.
In this morning's Beautiful People, and on this last day of Black History Month, we're featuring a woman who created beautiful dresses and also made her mark as an African-American designer for high society.
Lowe spent 10 years in Tampa perfecting her craft before moving to New York and eventually designing one of the most talked about wedding dresses in America. 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean has her story this morning.
Yeah, good morning, you guys. In 1964, the Saturday Evening Post called her society's best kept secret. By that time, Lowe had designed brilliantly detailed ball gowns for debutantes, Hollywood stars, and New York socialites. But she got her start right here in Tampa, creating beautiful dresses for Gasparilla royalty.
Lowe happened to be discovered by a Tampa family who was visiting Dothan, Alabama, back around 1915. They discovered her in a department store.
And then came an offer Anne, just 18 years old, couldn't refuse.
And so they made this deal where Anne came back to Tampa and she wound up working for the Lee family as their dressmaker and seamstress.
And really established very much the first really high fashion design of any kind in Tampa, and an absolutely first one done by an African American person.
She left Tampa briefly in 1917 for design school in New York.
And they segregated her into a room all by herself, and she worked away. And when they saw her designs and her work, everyone came in and started observing her. And it was supposed to be a year-long program. It ended up only being 6 months for her because they said, "We've taught you everything we can teach you."
Anne came back to Tampa and spent the next 10 years living and working in a home here on Jefferson Street. It's right next to the African-American neighborhood and business district known as the Scrub. Much of it is no longer here due to urban redevelopment and, of course, a major highway. But it was here that Anne began designing dresses for Gasparilla royalty.
Back then, it was really the main social event for the entire year for the most kind of socially elite whites in Tampa. So to be able to design that level of gown was very, very unique for an African-American woman here in Tampa.
In 1928, Anne moved back to New York to take her designs to the next level, but the timing was unfortunate.
And then 1929, you have the huge stock market crash, and the Great Depression starts, and so the need for these kinds of high-end dresses wasn't quite as high. So she began working for other designers.
Anne persevered and continued doing what she loved, spending hours designing beautiful, intricate, one-of-a-kind gowns.
She actually designed Olivia de Havilland's dress that she wore to the Oscars when she won the Oscar for Best Actress in 1946. And then her big break became when she designed Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy's wedding dress in 1953.
But she was unknown. They never mentioned her name in all the publicity after the wedding.
It wasn't until the 1960s that she began making a name for herself publicly, appearing on The Mike Douglas Show.
Some was afraid that I'd get too many people. Others didn't want them to know where their gowns came from.
But to this day, despite her influence on high fashion and American couture, many people have never heard her name. However, she paved the way for many other Black designers to establish themselves in the fashion world. Anne Lowe died in 1981 in New York. And you know, Anne Lowe was recently honored in Delaware at the Winterthur Museum. They had an exhibit there that lasted 4 months, all dedicated to her work. They had 40 of her iconic gowns, all on display. Several of those gowns on loan from 2 local museums here.
Yeah, those are gorgeous. I love this story. And you can see some of the gowns locally too, right?
Yeah, that's right. Right now at the Henry B. Plant Museum in Tampa, they have 1 gown on display, and it's going to stay on display through the weekend. It's part of their Gasparilla display, so you have until March 3rd to see that one. And then there's another one. They just got it back from the Winterthur exhibit, and that is at the Tampa Bay History Center, also in downtown Tampa in the Channelside area.
What a talent.
It is. The dresses are so detailed and so amazing. I mean, some say that if she had been in Paris, she would have been compared to Chanel or Dior.
Dior, yeah.
Love it.
That'd be amazing.
Incredible.